It's me, Egbert, once again. I'm the new owner of this station. I went out and hired the best talk radio consultant, Jeff Allen from News Talk STL, and told him to hire the worst talent he could find. Jeff did exactly as I told him. Ladies and gentlemen, here are Brad and John.
I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Did you hear that one?
I did not. Which one was that?
It's the Biden comment about, I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Okay. Okay. Lots of stuff going on in the news, and if you've been listening to the national news, you've seen that we have yet another hurricane, and this one is overnight, I think within 24 hours, it went from a 3 to a 5 as far as the category is concerned. At this point, looks like it's heading right for Tampa. I heard something interesting the other day that a lot of the places that have been hit by hurricanes recently, the insurance industry is now essentially saying we are now charging 7 to 10%, depending upon the hurricane. 7 to 10% of the appraised value of your house, that is what your insurance rate is. So if you lived in essentially $1 million house, you would be paying $70,000 a year, right? Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, so are we now, Brad? I don't mean to dive right into the policy because I know that this is a human interest story, but are we suggesting that insurance companies shouldn't have that freedom?
Well, no, and I understand what you're saying, John, because of the fact that the insurance companies, the way insurance companies work is that there's that they're betting on the fact that all the people that pay their premiums, that a slight percentage of those will actually make a claim. I mean, the idea being, and this is why insurance rates, like homeowners, I don't know if your homeowners insurance rate, but I know people that I know have just told me their homeowners rate is just going through the ceiling. Car insurance has gotten super expensive, mainly because of the fact that there's so many more losses, and some of that's weather related. You get the hailstorms, and obviously the situation you have with the hurricane and damage in the Carolinas, Georgia, and to a certain extent Eastern Kentucky and Eastern Tennessee. A lot of those claims are going to come from people's cars who are flooded. And especially nowadays with the cars being so intensely, dependent upon computers and modules. There's a module for this. I mean, I watch these guys that buy these flooded cars, and especially the more sophisticated cars like the BMWs, there's a module for everything. I mean, to the point where the power seats, you see all these new, it's got power seats, it's got heated seats. There's a computer module that sits underneath each one of those seats. And when that gets water in it, guess what? It's ruined. And if you call, you can't buy them, at Napa Auto Parts. It's a dealer-only item. And one little module may cost $1,000. And let's say there's 10 modules in a car that get flooded. There's $10,000 worth of damage. Bang, right off the bat. And that doesn't even include the fact that they have to take the car apart. They have to clean it out. It's all the labor and stuff like that. I get it, the insurance companies are in a sort of a no-win situation because of the fact that they keep getting hammered and hammered and hammered. It's like I don't know how it is in St. Charles County. Okay, I noticed this because of the fact I've talked with some of these guys. There's been an explosion of roofing companies in St. Charles County. There are probably, and once again, there's one of them right there on Highway 94. It used to be a instant oil change. It's down now probably about a half mile north of 4064 there in Weldon Spring, and all out of nowhere, it's a roofing company, and sitting out in front, they have 6 brand new trucks, all with
nice. I mean, but that's a beautiful thing, right?
Well, but once again, it's to the point where what they're doing is, and having been on the receiving end of that, they are probably 90 to 95% of the roofs they do are insurance claims. And to the point where once again, the insurance company has to pay for that. And, there's been some nasty hailstorms that have moved through, especially St. Charles County and West County and places like that. Once again, I get it. But by the same token, it's to the point where, like for example, I know people that live in Oklahoma City. I have a friend of mine who lives in Oklahoma City, lives in a house that is in a subdivision that's probably about 20 years old. The house is 4 years old because the house that used to be there got destroyed by the tornado, and there are certain insurance companies that will not write insurance in that neighborhood because they claim it's that particular neighborhood is prone to tornadoes. to the point where, and once again, this is in Oklahoma. This is not like in the middle of nowhere. This is in Oklahoma City. One whole subdivision insurance company says, nope, we don't write in that area. I mean, and once again, it's like, holy cow. I get it. They're not in business to lose money. They're not like me. They're not in business to lose money.
So, Brad, how can people profit from this?
Well, I open up a roofing company, I guess. I don't know. I mean, see, I see both sides of the equation. Being a business owner, and I think what bothers me about this is I have heard this said many times, and I will tell you, I've told people this. I've owned in my life, 150 cars and trucks, okay? I have never, ever, 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 ever claimed a windshield on insurance. I mean, you know how you get your insurance canceled? You claim a windshield.
Yeah, because you claim windshield. You're right about that.
Well, you claim a windshield, and then you claim the fact that somebody, bumped into your car and put a dent in your bumper, and nobody left a note, and you claim that. Nowadays, it's not. I know a friend of mine. Here's an interesting story. And this is like, one of these things where, thank goodness it was a nice person. Someone opened up their door next to this person, this friend of mine, and the wind caught their door, and it hit their car, okay? The door hit their car, okay? You look at the door, it's got a little dent in it, okay? $5,000 worth of damage because they had to totally replace the door. Because they don't do panel repairs anymore. They don't like in the old days. They'd throw Bondo in it. They'd sand it down, throw Bondo in it. Nope, they don't do it anymore. They replace the whole panel. And that's one of the problems you're going to start seeing with the cars like the Tesla. There's already this guy, I think I mentioned this before, this crazy dude by the name of Whistling Diesel who puts all these videos online, and he buys these new cars and destroys them. And his most popular video to date is his Cybertruck test, where he breaks the frame of the Cybertruck. Literally, the bumper hitch that is part of the frame breaks the bumper off the back of the truck, and the way the Tesla is made, the Tesla is totaled because of the fact that it's a casting. The entire frame is one casting, and if you break that or bend it or crack it, the car's totaled. And once again, it doesn't take much to do that. To the point where and once again, the insurance company, you talk about, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 Cybertruck, you hit something wrong, it cracks the frame, car's totaled. And don't get me going on this because the cars nowadays are so incredibly tough to repair. It's just to the point where, I've friends of mine that love BMWs, and my advice to them is, hey, you know what, BMWs are great, but always make sure you have a warranty, and if the warranty expires at 60,000 miles, trade that son of a gun in at 59,000 miles, because you don't want to be on the receiving end of the repair bills for an Audi or for a BMW or a Mercedes. You just don't want to do it because they have gotten so incredibly tough to repair and expensive. That's my rant on cars. I'm sorry.
Hey, the other way, Brad, to make money, not financial advice, but you could buy an ETF called IAK. And I was just looking while you were talking. I sold my IAK on June 17th, which was an early out. But the point is, if you want to buy an ETF, an exchange traded fund that owns a piece of insurance companies, if you've seen over the last 2 years that insurance rates are skyrocketing and that insurance companies are in a really good spot, you can buy IAK. Just like you would buy a stock or anything else. You could buy 10 grand worth. You could buy $1,000 worth. You could buy $100 worth. And IAK is up 36% over the last year, Brad. Now, as I like to point out, Brad, you could go to your local strip mall and talk to a kid right out of school that has a pie chart created by an algorithm that tells you, here's what you should invest in stocks at your age. Where is my 3% commission? Or you can do a little bit of, research on your own. The ticker symbol is IAK, and it's a basket of insurance stocks, Brad. So this is not financial advice. Well, I sold a little early.
Well, why?
But, you never get hurt taking a profit.
Okay, so in other words, you're saying that by your IAK stock that you bought, and it's an ETF, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, it's made money, correct?
Yeah, I sold it on June 17th, and it's appreciated since then. So I don't own a piece of this anymore, Brad.
But in the past year, what off the top of your head, how far has it gone up in the past year?
It's gone 36. It's up 36% over the last year.
Okay, there are some people that would say, okay, the insurance companies are making false claims, pardon the pun, because of the fact that they say they're losing money, but yet if you're looking at that, and if an ETF is an industry aggregate, then they're making money because the stock's going up, right?
Yeah. Now, it's not apples to apples, so you can't say that the stock market shows exactly. You can't say because a stock is up 10%, the company is making 10% profit. Like that's amateur, CNBC, people who think they know what they're talking about. Logic, like that doesn't have anything to do with the stock market. Netflix can lose a bunch of money and the shares can go through the roof. Well, so profit does not equal stock market performance.
Isn't that the classic example of Uber? Uber has never made a profit, but yet
correct. That's a perfect example of it, Brad.
The stock just keeps going up and up and up and up because what they're doing is people are investing saying, the future is going to be what Uber is doing. Now, there's a lot of stocks, as you well may know, through the history of the stock market that people say, oh, this is the future, and they die. You know what
That's
I mean?
right. And you know what? If you're not willing to take that risk, then you should keep your money in the mattress or a bank where it loses money to inflation or anywhere else. Like if you don't want to take the risk, like Michael Jordan says, you don't want to play the game that way, don't play the game that way.
And one of my favorite Michael Jordan quotes is also, my all-time favorite Michael Jordan quote
Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yes, what a great comment. Now, can I tell you something? It's interesting you should bring that up. Okay, there's a Wall Street Journal article. Once again, I will tell you what a nerd I am, and it's almost gotten impossible to find a printed copy of the Wall Street Journal. Every once in a while when I'm in Schnucks, by the way, did you get my picture I put up on?
I did. I loved it. Thank you for that, Brad. I love the Red Hot Riblets.
I was at Schnucks yesterday, and I'm at the checkout, and there's a display with Luther and his Red Hot Riblets, his old Vienna.
Luther Burns the Third. Boy, I think Luther had too many Red Hot Riblets before the last game against Texas A&M.
Yeah,
That's a different story.
He didn't look too good. But, okay, where was I going with this before I sidetracked
myself? You were going with, you can't find a copy of Wall Street Journal.
One of my nerd things was I would love to go buy a copy of the Wall Street Journal and sit and eat dinner by myself, okay? I'm sort of a loner kind of guy, but I love the Wall Street Journal, and it's gotten to the point where I'm a cheapskate. I won't subscribe because it's gotten expensive online, but I do see excerpts and things like that. And there was a really fascinating article that talked about, and we talked about just the other day, matter of fact, I think we even talked about it yesterday to a certain extent, about how marriages and relationships are getting more to the point where they don't work if the two parties involved aren't on the same side politically. And
yes, you did mention that, Brad.
Right, and this is an article, I believe it was in yesterday's Wall Street Journal, maybe even today's Wall Street Journal. And it was a lady who wrote the article, and she goes into she interviews all these couples and talks about that in the dating world that, it's not unusual for women to say, if you voted for Trump, don't bother contacting me, and to the point where I mentioned the fact that Armstrong and Getty were talking about the fact he mentioned, I think we talked about this yesterday, where his son talked about the fact that, if I wanted to date that girl, she wouldn't go out with me because I'm conservative and she's liberal. I go, these are high school kids. In high school, if there was an attractive woman that you were attracted to in high school, back in your day, John, you're much younger than I am, but would you ever thought to yourself, I'm a conservative, she's a liberal, she probably wouldn't go out with me? Did that ever cross your mind?
If she could be burning the flag, and if she had a big old white donk, I would be there, Brad.
John puts it.
I mean, she would have to have a good face because you want your kids to be good looking. Like, I'm not a butterface guy. But seriously, she could be burning the flag, or she could be talking about raising taxes.
And the interesting,
she could talk about taxing unrealized gains, and I would still want to talk to her.
The interesting thing about this is, and you know what, we should talk about that next break, because that's been in the news a lot lately too, about Kamala Harris, the unrealized gains, and a lot of people don't really understand what that is. And I think that I'm dumb enough where I can explain it where most people understand it. But the point being is, look at where we're at. The polls come out. I mean, you hear the experts, and they say, well, in in Wisconsin, it's 49.5 to 50.5, and in Georgia, it's 49.6 to 50.4. I mean, have you ever seen the country divided down the middle like we have it now? At least according to the polls.
Not since 2016. Now, I would also point out real quick, I know we're up against break, but when you talk about people disqualifying others based on their political views, you have to remember that you have to judge women and men by what they do and not what they say. So every woman says she wants a nice guy who's really sweet, who's careful and tender, and then she goes out and hooks up with the neighborhood biker who's in a band, who sleeps on a couch and peddles meth once in a while. But the guy who will bring her flowers, she wants nothing to do with him. So you have to watch what people do. Now, if that neighborhood drug dealer who's in a grunge band and peddles a little meth on the side said one day, "I don't care, baby, I'm voting for Trump, he's awesome," do you think that liberal chick would be like, I don't know? No, she's going to do whatever she's going to do with him.
No, she's going to say, now that's a deal breaker right there. You can sell meth.
Exactly. Yeah, you could peddle meth,
right?
And you could be a grifter.
Right.
But you know what? You're pulling the lever for Donald Trump.
Right.
Well, I'm not going home with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to your neighbor's couch with you.
Not passing that line. That's a line that doesn't get crossed. Okay, we have to take a break.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?